Walling is making it easier than ever to share information in a much more impressive and aesthetically pleasing way. I mean, sure, you could put all your information into a Word doc and send that to your client, but let's be honest, we can do better than that. Today, I'm going to walk you through how I designed this business proposal and tell you about a handful of different tips and tricks and hopefully give you some inspiration on how you can design your next presentation. So let's start with the fundamentals. All right, so let's start with going over everything that we can customize within Walling, just so you have a basis to operate on top of when it comes to making your own. So there's this icon on the top here that looks like a paint roller. It says Customize Wall, so we're going to click on that. So there are two tabs to these settings. There's the Wall tab and the Section tab. First off, we have the theme. There's a handful of different pre-designed themes that are available for you. You can make your own custom ones and save them yourself if you want to reuse them over and over. We've got some public wall settings. We got some wall cover settings that control the style, which we'll get to here in a moment. You can upload your own logo. You can change the wall background, the sidebar background, the default brick background, the primary text color, and the secondary text color, as well as the fonts that are going to be used on the wall, and some button options, as well as some miscellaneous options. After that, we've got the section-specific customizations. So you can select your section through this drop-down right here. We've got the layout and appearance, which you can control what type of section view it is, brick reactions, some miscellaneous items, and the public wall customizations. Also important to note is this edit and publish rocker up here. When you go to the publish one, you can see what your wall is going to look like once it's in the published view. So just to give you an easier way to preview what you've done so far. So let's get started. Right now the wall cover is defaulting to the split right. There's also a split left to have your cover photo on the left instead of the right. Split right. Then you have the normal version, which is what historically has been the cover photo position on Walling. So we have that, and then we have a wide version as well where it goes across the entire page instead of the margined version. So I'm gonna go with the split right version. I'm gonna find myself a cover photo. So this entire business proposal is for a smart home technology company. So that'll be the kind of stock photos that I'll be sourcing from Unsplash here. I'm gonna go with this one for the cover. And I'm also gonna add a wall description, which can be found under the wall's option panels, which is the three dots at the top there. We can go to add description. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove the wall icon from this, which can actually be found underneath the miscellaneous items in your wall customizations. So I'm going to turn that off just to make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing. And while we're at it, I'm actually going to change the wall fonts as well. So if we go to the text options, you can see everything's set to default right now. There are quite a few different options you can pick from, a nice array of types of fonts. I'm going to go with Inter for all my title fonts and heading fonts, I should say. And then I'm going to go with Open Sans for my body font. Okay, now that we've got that, we can get started on our sections. First section is going to be the executive summary of the business proposal. I don't exactly find that to be a super necessary section title for the published wall. So I'm actually going to go into the section customizations here and hide the section heading for this section so that when we go to the publish option, you can see it is not there. An awesome new feature that will certainly save you some time is this. When you're starting a new section, you can select a layout for that section. Instead of double clicking anywhere to create a brick, you can click select layout, and there are a myriad of different layouts to pick from. So in fact, this one is the one that I want. Oh, actually, I want this on this side. So I'm gonna swap those real quick. And because I kind of want the photo and text to sort of be not directly down the middle as far as weight on the wall goes, like I want this to be a little bit shorter, this to be a little bit longer, I'm going to change the amount of columns to 5 so that I can shrink this down to be just 2 columns, whereas the text will be 3 columns. All right, so I'm just getting my content added here. And I would like this title font to be pretty large, so I'm going to go with the title size. Okay, now we've got this brick done. As you can see, it defaults to a white background. So I actually want to make it transparent so it doesn't actually have that sort of border to it at all, so that when we go to look at it, it is just there by itself with nothing else. All right, next section is the products and services. And the reason that I'm titling these sections, even if I'm going to hide them or whatever, is because they will still appear in my sidebar on my published page, which can be turned on or off, but in this case I want it to be turned on so people know sort of what the sections are and how it goes. And in this one I want to highlight the sort of 5 main key areas that this company focuses on. So let's see if we have a layout for that. We do not, but there is a 3, and we can sort of work with that. Turn this into a 5 column, and then we can just go ahead and duplicate. All right, let me get my content added here. And I'm gonna also take off the background on each brick as I go. All right, now that I've got all my text added, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding some photos. Okay, beautiful. Let's take a look at what that looks like published. So as you can see, the margins get a little bit automatically adjusted. Oh, and I'm also going to hide the section heading. Okay. Next section is the market analysis. We're going to go with this one. Change this into a title heading as well. Okay. Next section is the target market, which I'm going to do the same layout for, but just flipped. I'm going to make the photo on this one just a bit taller, just so I can show the train a bit more. All right, next section is competitive analysis. For this one, I'm going to sort of break it up a little bit by doing one big long photo with some text below it. So this will work nicely. I can just take the photo and swap it on top. So while I like the sort of smaller size of the title to the left here, I would like to have the text be just 2 lines instead of 3. So I'm going to go down 1 size from title to heading. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to make the photo a little bit taller, just so it shows a bit more of what's going on here. And I'm actually going to hide the heading for this one. Not really super necessary. Okay, next section is the sales strategy. And this one I kind of want a myriad of like text and photos and stuff. So I'm thinking this one will be actually pretty nice for that. As you can see, the background is still white on all these, and I would like it to be transparent. So it's a good time to remind you that you can actually just drag and select multiple bricks at once and change the background to clear. All right, let's preview what this looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Everything's lining up pretty nicely. Doesn't look like the photos need to be adjusted much based on the amount of text. But I mean, if you had like a lot of text in one brick, you might need to sort of adjust your layout a little bit and the height of your photos to compensate for certain things. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Financial projections. This one, I would like a photo and some text. I'm gonna flip sides with those. So this one I actually want to do some small text before the heading. So I'm actually going to do initial estimated investment with a colon, and then put this above that guy, and then do $1.5 million. Could you imagine? And change that to a display font. Okay, then we can add some additional text of what that will actually cover. Okay, so I'm actually going to do a divider here and then add another headline, which we can do with 2 hash marks and a space. And then since this is obviously a bit of a taller brick, I'm actually going to make my photo equally as tall. Take off the background. Okay, let's preview that. Then below that, I would like to add actually a table with the outlined expenses and how much each of them will be. So we're going to change our section view to table. I'm going to turn off the section heading before I forget. So in this, we're going to have an expense, a cost, needed by, and a status. So we're going to delete this guy and extend out the expense text area so that it lines up with right above it. Okay, so now we've got all of our expenses outlined. We have the cost, when they're needed by, and if they're complete or not. I'm actually going to add some color coding to these. All right, let's preview how that looks. Yeah, that looks really good. So that section title there, it really groups this all together nicely. Last section is the conclusion. I'll go ahead and hide this section heading. Since I just want this to be one brick, I'm just going to go ahead and double click and get started. Make this the full width of the page. Make him a title font, center it, center that as well. Okay, good stuff. Now let's take some previews of all of this and see if we missed anything. One thing I do see is that I did forget to turn off the minimize sections, because in this case, I don't really want that to be an option to my end user. So I'm gonna go back to edit and then go to our section settings, turn on miscellaneous, and make these non-collapsible. So now that we've got all that sorted, you can see there's a link here. This will take us directly to the public wall, so you can share that with anyone. We've got our sidebar here with all of these sections. We can go to expenses directly. On the publish page, if for some reason you wanted a certain section to be not available on the public version, like for example, if you wanted the expenses table to only be for internal use only, you can unclick it, and then if we go back to our public wall, we can see that it is no longer below our financial projections. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And there's a nice QR code here as well for you to scan with your phone, so you can take a look at it on your phone, make sure it looks okay. And that is it. We are done. We have made a beautiful business proposal to share with our clients in a super easy way to digest and also reference at any time. And it's live, so we can keep making changes and iterating and sharing easily. So I hope this gave you some inspiration on how you can use Walling to present a myriad of things to your friends, your family, your coworkers, your stakeholders, your clients. We cannot wait to see what you build with these new features. And until next time, have a good one.